We never know where life will lead us or what may hinder us along the way. But while every day can feel like one big question mark, it doesn't have to. With the right insights, strategies, and solutions from Western and Southern Financial Group, together we can look ahead to leave the unknown behind.
We are on to 2022. The 2022 NFL mock draft is live. It'll look nothing like what the actual draft looks like, but it gives us an opportunity really to look at some players that are going to be in the know or being talked about a ton over this next 12 months.
Yes. Yeah, I haven't gone in on the, obviously I'm going to be doing a guide again over the course of the summer, so I haven't done a super deep dive on these guys. I've watched a good deal of these players, though. A lot of these guys graded out really well. I'll say class strengths going forward in this one, corners.
Yeah, the corner
this
class.
This is a sick cornerback class. We'll get to some in this. I think you got a little better edge talent in terms of guys who could come in more NFL ready in this past year's class. But man, corner is the one that really stands out to me. I think there's some offensive line talent to be had as well, but quarterbacks are going to obviously be the talk. There's really, I don't even love Sam Howell. There's really only one guy that I'd feel good about will be at the top of the draft, and it's the number one pick to the Houston Texans, Spencer Rattler.
Number one pick, Houston Texans, Spencer Rattler. So why Rattler over guys like Sam Howell, Keaton Slovis, these guys?
Rattler's one got arm talent for days. He's not, it's not like Trey Lancian, but he's at least got
Lancian
in terms of the cannon that he's got. Like, it's not to that level, but it's up there with like Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence. Like, the dude can sling it. Now, the size will be the sort of talk around Spencer Rattler. He is 6'1", 205. Not big, that's for damn sure. But this past year, first year starter, 92.5 passing grade, almost a 10% big time throw rate, which is kind of absurd. Like,
very absurd.
Yeah. Like, the guy can hit windows down the football field. And he's an athlete as well. Makes plays outside the pocket. I think he's the highest grade quarterback outside the pocket this past season. There's just a lot to like about his game. Now, some boneheaded throws on his tape. That's for sure. There's some ugly games. The Texas one stands out as it was just like, oof, what was he doing? Some of the plays in that one, Kansas State as well. But
4 turnover-worthy plays against Kansas State too. It was, I mean, I think he has it's not roller coaster, but it's kind of similar to, I'm not making that comment. I won't say it. But some of the concerns about a certain quarterback that plays really well in the NFL now, the best quarterback in the NFL now, I won't say his name. Some of the concerns where you saw like, oh my gosh, he can make any throw in the world. Like, he can make.
No, again, he's Patrick Mahomes. That's what you're saying.
But some of those same concerns, like, oh my gosh, the arm talent's insane. Yeah. He can do so much down the football field. But with those risks, with that heightened number of risks, he's a heightened number of turnover plays. Like, it's just going to happen. Yeah. Like, it's not the same as Jameis Winston, where he's making a ton of boneheaded decisions, and like, these are turnover plays like linebackers.
Post he's ever seen.
Yeah, I think this is more, hey, when you have a guy that has over 10 yards average depth of target and is trying to sling it into tight windows down the football field all day long, he's going to have a higher turnover-worthy play rate than maybe some of these other guys.
Yeah. So Rattler, though, there's bad on his tape, but was a redshirt freshman last year. So
very interested to see if like if he adds to that grade, like if Spencer Rattler, so 92.5 this past year, if he clears 90 again, man, it's going to be very tough not to see him as the number one QB. Like, he adds to this and improves in areas.
If he gets stronger, too. Like, if he comes back and he's like 6'1", 215, looks solid, then it's like, okay, this dude's
it.
Yeah.
All right. Number 2, though, you still have quarterback Sam Howell of North Carolina going to the Detroit Lions at number 2.
I got Howell up there. I think he's super talented. That offense is just very collegey. He threw 132 RPOs last year. It's 25 more than anyone else in the country. It's RPOs and go balls and not a lot of complexity on his tape. And now Renner, one of the stronger arms in the class, good size, 225 pounds, 6'1". Just that offense will be a concern, and it's obviously not going to change in 2021. So that will be talked about a lot with him coming out. But passing grades of 83.3 as a freshman in 2019 as a starter, 91.5 this past year. A lot to like, but to me, a clear step behind Rattler at this point.
And I think obviously the simplicity of the offense will be a concern, but the other thing too is that the numbers could look worse this year with De'Ami Brown gone, Daz Newsome gone, Carter, Williams. This is going to be a completely different skill group for Sam Howell. So much that you could see more concerns on his tape. Maybe not to the level where Kyle Trask fell. Remember after that bowl game where he didn't have any of his talent, then everyone stopped considering him a first round player. You could see. Sam Howell is not going to have the same level of talent, so you could see the numbers look worse for him after this year, and that could obviously affect his stock as well. All right, first non-quarterback off the board, New York Jets at 3, grabbing, this guy has been talked about on this podcast for a long time. He is one of the more #fun-to-watch players in college football, Derek Stingley Jr. of LSU, an insane cornerback prospect coming out, the number 1 cornerback on PFF's board probably right now.
Yes, highest grade cornerback college football as a true freshman, 2019, 91.7 coverage grade. Didn't quite live up to that same dominance this past year.
Also battled injuries this past year.
But battled injuries and only still allowed a completion percentage against a 46.7. Only 163 yards on 213 coverage snaps. Was still very good. Just was not the best cornerback in the nation like he was as true freshman when he only allowed 38.3 completion percentage. I don't overthink it with Stingley. If he comes back this year and doesn't, he's ran a 4.3 coming out. He's 6'1", 195. The dude can play corner.
The other thing too is leading the country, obviously as a true freshman in PFF coverage grade is awesome. But he also looked the part the entire way and saw legit competition the entire way. He was going against top dogs every single week and still came out as the highest graded cornerback as a true freshman. All right, number 4, Cincinnati Bengals edge defender Kayvon Thibodeau of Oregon. My God, this guy's tape, he might be the best player in the Pac-12 since he's entered the Pac-12. That's how good he's been. Maybe not better than Penei Sewell, but still. Defensively, this guy is an absolute game wrecker. Yeah.
So 34 pressures in only 7 games this past year. 12 against USC in that Pac-12 championship game. The 6'5", 250, still lean, still can get bigger. That has that long, lanky edge body you want, and still kind of developing into it. He could get up to
the Kawhi Leonard frame.
Yeah, the Kawhi Leonard, the ideal frame for literally any sport that that involves a ball. But yeah, Thibodeau, he's the real deal. This is, I believe, I would say right now, obviously we're a ways out. I think he's going to be comfortably a better edge prospect than anyone this past year's class.
I also think he's probably one of those guys. You have Stingley here, but he would probably be an early favorite, if not close to it, to be the first non-quarterback off the board. He is going to be a very well-liked prospect when it's all said and done. Next guy here, I think a lot of people aren't maybe as high on him as you are. I haven't seen him in a lot of other high-end 2022 mock drafts, but DeMarvin Leal, Texas A&M, 6'4", 290-pounder, defensive interior.
Yeah, so he kind of plays inside and outside for Texas A&M. They do that have done that with some of their DTs and edge guys in recent years. So he's 6'4", 290. 88.3 grade this past season. Started as true freshman as well, where he under 68.8 overall grade. He's far more skilled than a lot of the DTs in this past class. You see spin moves on his tape. You see him use his hands really well, and he's a pretty explosive athlete too. So this guy, I think, obviously I put him in the fucking top 5, but I feel very good about him being an upper half of the first round type of DT when he comes out.
Man, looking at his per game pressure totals, had 3 pressures in every game after the first 2 weeks. Texas A&M knocked some rust off, and then dude was on an absolute tear. Texas A&M. All right, jumping now to I don't know if I said it, but Jacksonville Jaguars taking DeMarvin Leal there. Philadelphia Eagles at 6 take quarterback Emory Jones, Florida. Emory Jones right now is not a top 10 quarterback.
I was going to say, we went from guys I feel very strongly about as incredibly talented and very good at football already to we're starting to make projections. We're starting to project forward because Emory Jones has 286 career snaps. He has 99 career dropbacks. we do not know a ton about Emory Jones, but I know he's ridiculously talented. I know he's one of the best runners at the quarterback position, and last year earned an 86.1 rushing grade on 31 attempts. When he came in for Florida, like usually he was kind of this change of pace runner throughout the season. I thought when he came in against Oklahoma, though, you saw some good things he could do as a pure passer. Has a strong arm, showed some touch down the football field. I could throw on the move as well. 6'2", 210. There's a lot to like. We just really haven't seen it. I think he's going to an offense, though, that's going to be very conducive to him looking good next season.
I think Dan Mullen is going to do some wonders with this guy.
Yeah. That's
on the Chris
thing.
Collinsworth podcast, he had Urban Meyer on, who obviously worked with Dan Mullen in the past. I think you talk about what Dan Mullen has done for them, and I do think that Emory Jones, dude, if he can live up to expectation, he's going to at least put up numbers. Whether or not he's a top 10 pick, top 15 pick, he's going to put up some absolute banana land numbers for Florida this upcoming season. All right, jumping to Nick Bonito, guy that's graded really well for PFF for a while now. Nick Bonito of Oklahoma, the edge defender, going to the Giants at 7.
Another projection here. I'm projecting that it gets bigger and stronger. Like that was the biggest thing with Bonito, why he comes back to school. Twitchy edge dude, has a ton of moves already. 93.6 pass rushing grade this past year. Was dominant every single game on his tape there at Oklahoma, but he is just not that big. 6'3", 240. He is undersized. If he can add some muscle and explosiveness to his frame, not much stopping this guy. If he can get to the 250 range, like that, he can be a top 10 to 15 pick if he maintains that level of athleticism. But that's with all those undersized guys, it's always kind of a play. It's like always, can they put on that weight? Because you pretty much have to, unless you are already Von Miller, you got to get up to the 250 range.
Next one, Las Vegas Raiders draft cornerback Kyer Elam of Florida. Guy that, as a true freshman, graded awesome. 89.8 coverage grade across 207 coverage snaps. Was one of those guys that everyone at PFF was like, man, look out for his 2020. Didn't quite expand. Didn't have a better grade in 2020, just an 81.0 coverage grade in 2020, but still looked very good.
Damn good.
6'2", 193. A guy that I do think Kyer Elam, he's not, I don't know. I'm not ready to say he's going to compete even with Stingley to be CB1, but I think a lot of people are going to like Elam too. And again, it's just going to speak to how good this cornerback class is.
Yeah, first career, a completion percentage against of 42.9. He has been very, very good. 6'2", 193 is a long dude. He's got his hands on nine pass breakups this past year, 2 picks. Just another guy like this cornerback class. You just watch him like, damn, like height, length, movement skills. And then he's graded out obviously exceptionally well. It's like it's a rarity, especially with cornerbacks being under attack throughout college football.
Next one here. This one's pretty chalky. A lot of people like Evan Neal coming out of Alabama. The dude's an absolute monster. 6'7", 360. Probably won't get the Mekhi Becton comps, but I mean this dude's huge. This dude's absolutely huge.
Yes, it's been starting since true freshman year. And when he's
been starting since he was born. Okay, this guy's been the first player picked in everything he's played.
Basically, you come into Alabama and start as true freshman. It's like, okay,
especially on the offensive line.
Pick. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. On the offensive line, you're a first rounder. And Neal has looked such the part. He said absolutely enormous. 86.4 run blocking grade this past year. 73.1 pass blocking. Only 9 pressures all season. This guy's a dude. So he left guard as a freshman, right tackle this past year. I'm not sure if he's going to kick over to the left side or not, but if he does and plays well, like you can pencil this guy into the first round at that point.
Atlanta Falcons taking your guy next, safety Kyle Hampton of Notre Dame. We watched a ton of Notre Dame games together last year. I mean, he was one of the better players on that defense and one of the youngest players on that defense as well. Like Kyle Hamilton consistently making plays in coverage.
Yeah, so as a freshman, earns the 89.4 coverage grade. This past year, 78.3. To me, his best attribute is just like his tackling in space. Now he still missed 10 tackles last year, but he comes downhill quickly and violently that you would expect a guy that plays the way he does to miss a lot more. But he's 6'4", 220 safety. He is massive. This guy, to me, I wrote here, he's like Isaiah Simmons that stays at safety full time. Like he's that type of rangy, long dude.
To be that big and have that range.
Athletic. Yeah, he's still that athletic. Yeah, safeties obviously don't go in the first round a lot, but when you look like that, I think he still does.
All right, number 11, New York Giants. Moving on from Daniel Jones, taking quarterback Malik Willis of Liberty.
If they're drafted at 11 overall, things didn't go
It's
great.
time.
Yeah,
It's time.
It's time. So
Malik Willis of Liberty might be the most fun to watch quarterback after Spencer Rattler. His tape is absurd. We were just sharing, me, you, and Steve Palazzolo in a group chat, just sharing clips that we've been watching. It's like, oh my God, you see this throw? You see this throw? He is the guy that everyone's going to be like, the arm talent's going to draw everyone in. Malik Willis, I shit you not, regardless of the fact that he plays at Liberty, the arm talent is going to draw everyone in.
Cannon, like anywhere, like on the
it's
run.
Effortless, too.
And,
it's
yeah,
effortless. It's so smooth.
Can sling it. And he's also one hell of an athlete in terms of like as a runner. You see him juke guys out of their shoes. Like he's not just like some guys, like Marcus Mariota is fast. Marcus Mariota is not juking dudes as a runner. Comes out, runs 4.5, but he's not really going to be a runner. Malik Willis is really a runner. Like with the ball in his hands, knows how to create. So it's going to be an interesting projection because 75.5 passing grade this last season. Almost as many turnover-worthy plays as big-time throws.
Yeah, he's still kind of like mud. I mean, putty. He still needs to prove a lot in there.
He's so inconsistent, sloppy, like game to game, and just with his like footwork and whatnot, things that you would hope by now as a redshirt junior, because he's started his career at Auburn. Bo Nix beats him out, transfers to Liberty. His last year at Liberty is the first time we've seen him start in 2020. But damn, dude, what he brings to the table physically is absurd.
Next one here, you have tackle coming out of Washington, Jackson Kirkland, going to the Washington football team. 6'7", 295, guy that just played 4 games this past year, all at left tackle, 86.6 pass blocking grade this past year.
Yeah, he's a guy that likely he kind of got screwed. Like this guy would have been probably drafted highly had they had a full season in Washington. Mm-hmm. He got screwed by the pandemic, only playing 4 games this past year because he had started his career at guard. We talked about the Washington tackles the year prior. Names fucking eluding me right now.
Caleb McGarry? No.
It was.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, they had a couple good tackles the year prior. They both move on. Kirkland kicks out to left tackle, and only 2 pressures in 4 games. Looked very good there, but it's like only 4 games of tape at left tackle. He comes back and has another year like that where it's just over a full season. You're going to see this guy likely towards the first round.
All righty. Keaton Slovis going quarterback to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Got a lot of quarterbacks going in the top 15. Is this another good quarterback class?
I don't say it's a good quarterback class. Like I'm saying, a lot of these are projection guys. And like Willis.
Trying to get some names out
Jones,
too. You're just trying to get some names out.
Exactly. Trying to kind of give a preview of what to expect from where.
Talk about a guy where Keaton Slovis too. It's like you turn on some of those games, you're like, what in the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
There's some of these picks, man. It's like, what is this guy thinking?
They really are, man. But he's accurate with the football when he wants to place the ball, like down the football field, can put the ball
he's
where
not making bad decisions.
When he's not making bad decisions. There you go. Doesn't have that strong of an arm. That's why when Tresh said he was the number 1 overall pick 2 years, and I was like, dude, I don't see it. And he's still skinny. He's 6'2", 200. Obviously, only a true sophomore, will get bigger. But 80.8 passing grade as a true freshman, 80.1 as a sophomore. And that high grade as true freshman is rare, but more turnover he plays than big time throws this past year. He's got some work to do this upcoming season. Also, like having lost a lot of the receivers. Now USC replenishes, but Amon-Ra St. Brown, Tyler Vaughn's not walking through that door.
Man, we'll see. All right, another Georgia edge here. 6'5", 225, Adam Anderson. Turned it on a little bit late. 92.5 pass rushing grade this past year. Only 85 snaps, but man, playing behind a deep one, hit 8 total pressures against Cincinnati.
This guy's one of my calls. This guy's going to be fucking awesome. Adam Anderson. So now it's not a huge call because he was a former 5-star recruit, but he is 6'5", 230. And to me, this guy could actually get up to 250. I have worries about Benito maybe keeping some muscle on and keeping his explosiveness. I think Anderson's going to do it. So on 196 career pass rushing snaps, 51 pressures.
I've never seen those numbers.
That he's been electric when he's been on the football field, but he must not be able to play the run because that's why Georgia, they have run Tuesdays or whatever.
Bloody Tuesdays,
so they only play run. That must be why, because he only comes out on passing downs. And
lights him on fire.
But he does. He lights it on fire. This
51 total pressures on only 196 pass rushing snaps across 3 years is crazy.
He gets off the line faster than Azeez Ojulari. I watched like a dozen of their clips of their just like both of them trying to find both of them go speed rush. Adam Anderson's like a yard further upfield, getting off. I'm just like, holy shit, this guy's got something.
Just no interest in the run game.
He needs to, exactly.
Because former 5-star not even getting starting caliber reps until this time. Obviously, Georgia's had a lot of talented edge defenders over the past few years, but still, like to only see that many is interesting, especially with as good of explosiveness as you're saying. All right, our guy here, Tennessee wide receiver 1, Garrett Wilson, Ohio State, goes to Tennessee Titans at 15.
Yes, Wilson, man. He's such a talented route runner, and he's good athlete, good at the catch point. He's just got that kind of it factor at wide receiver that he's just going to be good, man.
He had some, I think Ohio State had like a spring game or something recently. Dude's still just putting on an absolute show. It's like he is going to be a freaking treat to watch this year, especially with Chris Olave back too. Like that offense is going to be insane. I'm excited. Ohio State just continues to reload. All right, next guy here, Trent McDuffie, cornerback, Washington.
Another Washington guy. Washington's got some talent there. Only another guy, this cornerback class, heading into his junior year, that 2019 cornerback recruiting class, absolutely loaded, apparently, because all these guys coming up, true juniors.
And plus, that's all Jimmy Lake. Like Jimmy Lake is the nation's best kept secret, and that he just continues to. He was the defensive backs coach, and then the defense coordinator. Now he's the head coach. Like he has recruited defensive back talent and developed it at Washington.
A low key DBU.
Low key DBU.
52 yards against in 4 games all last year. Pretty damn good. And as a true freshman, only 339 yards on, 436 coverage snaps. So well under 1 yard per coverage snap. As a true freshman, those numbers, you see those, you're like, oh shit, that guy's probably got a little something. Also, low-key, an incredible tackler. Only 2 missed tackles on 64 attempts in his career. He, though, does not have the kind of length profile of the other dudes that we've talked about, Kyer Elam, Derek Stingley. Doesn't have that top end size. He's only 5'11", 195. And if you're not listed at 6 foot and you're a college corner, it's probably 5'10". But I do think that this is still a first round type of prospect. His movement skills are exceptional.
Next one. And so you had Trent McDuffie going to the Minnesota Vikings, and then the Los Angeles Chargers at 17 grabbed George Karlaftis, Purdue edge, guy who is exactly your type. You fall in love with these guys every year.
What's that supposed to mean? Good
you like the power ends.
The power ends.
Yeah, you like the power ends.
This guy he's 6'4", 270, beefcake in the run game. Just absolute, a lot to handle. 55 pressures as a true freshman. Injuries this past year, only played in 3 of Purdue's games. But this true freshman tape, 55 pressures is like an insane number for a true freshman. Didn't come off the football field. 843 snaps that year.
True freshman.
Yeah. This guy's awesome. Zach Allen clone coming in hot right there for the Chargers.
New Orleans Saints at 18 grabbed cornerback Martin Emerson. Mississippi State, the cornerbacks are coming off the board.
So I've seen some of the other corners that Elam, Stingley, McDuffie, I've seen those guys hyped up. I haven't seen a ton of hype for Emerson, but I go back and watch his tape, and I was very impressed. A guy he played as a true freshman for them back in 2019. This past year, though, 82.9 coverage grade on a full season's worth of snaps. Only 306 yards and 410 coverage snaps in the SEC with the SEC offense this year. That's pretty damn good. 12 pass breakups also. Long dude. I was very impressed with his hips too at that size. So Martin Emerson, name to watch outside of maybe the guys you hear more about, the cornerbacks.
Name to watch. All right, 19, Philadelphia Eagles edge Drake Jackson, USC. Is he even in the same tier as Thibodeau?
No, not yet. You see it with him. He's still not a good pass rusher, but you see like the explosiveness combo. He had one spin move. I forget who it was against this past year where I was like, oh shit. Where it was just like, that was quick as hell. He's 6'4", 255. Now, only played the stupid Pac-12 season. I'll keep lamenting it all fucking off season about how dumb they were and how they're just like, we got 6 games from this past year. It just wasn't, it's difficult to eval, but only 6.6 pass rushing grade. But look for him to make a pretty massive leap coming to 2021.
Next, Ahmad Sauce Gardner, cornerback from the University of Cincinnati, 6'2", 188, guy who has been hyped up for a while here in Cincinnati. 90.2 PFF coverage grade in 2019, 77.7 in 2020. You look at completion percentage allowed, only 40.8%, Only 40.8% of 98 targets over the past 2 years has been allowed completed. He has been an absolute dog for the University of Cincinnati defense, and a guy that has graded really well, and the stats are match up.
Yeah, so the Cincinnati Prospects, like Cincinnati's defense being as dominant as it was this past year, they were the guys in the upcoming classes.
Yes.
Him, Majay Sanders, like those were the guys, the reasons, the difference makers.
Derek Forrest and James Wiggins were good, but these two guys are like legitimate prospects.
These are legit, yes. Gardner, still a little bit of stick though, still kind of a skinny dude, but he fills out his frame. This guy's a first round talent for sure.
Sauce, Gardner, jumping off of Sauce. Number 20, Philadelphia Eagles. Oh no, I just read that. I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh, Colts fans are going to hate that, but that's because they made the playoffs, and the Eagles take your pick once you do.
Man, brutal. New England Patriots at 21. They grab cornerback Noah Daniels, TCU.
This guy I haven't heard too much about either, but he's explosive as hell. This guy, so dude can hang clean 400 pounds, Noah Daniels. Now, he was a redshirt sophomore this past year. Could have got hurt, though, 4 games in. I thought his tape was good enough through 4 games that he could have come out if he had obviously played a full season, but only 6 of 18 targets through those 4 games for 100 yards. They got another guy there at TCU who's pretty good at corner. The name's eluding me. I should know, but to me, Noah Daniels has much better the speed profile. Like this guy can fly down the football field. So I think Daniels come back. They're going to have one of the best cornerback groups in the country next year at TCU.
Next one here is a guy that I think is getting hyped up a ton coming out of South Carolina, edge defender Kingsley and Nagbar. 6'4", 270, 89.2 pass rushing grade this past year, 23 total pressures in 2020, and 24 total pressures in 2019.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go look up a pronunciation before I commit to anything on that last name.
Yeah,
but
that
Kingsley,
was tough.
Kingsley,
it could be Nagbare. I have no idea.
He's got the size length profile, 6'4", 270, long dude. Kind of an up and down season this past year as a junior. Obviously, 3 years has been playing for South Carolina, but really broke out. Like you really saw it in certain games. Still kind of loose. So like it's probably the best way to describe him. Where it's just like he's kind of flailing. Like there's something there, but it's not refined. It's not. Doesn't look pretty. But he gets home because he is a high level athlete at that size. 89.2 pass rushing grade. Excited to see what he can do with another year here at South Carolina.
Next one here, Texas A&M offensive tackle Kenyan Green, 6'4", 325, coming out of Texas A&M.
This guy, so he has played guard for Texas A&M, of course, of his career, but 6'4", 325, special explosiveness and movement skills. You see it every snap. Now, he is not particularly 2 years starting, so he's been starting since true freshman year, 28 pressures, down to 10 pressures this past year, but that is at right guard and left guard respectively. Going to play left tackle this year for Texas A&M, I believe, and excited to see what he can do because he's a high-level athlete, but still kind of figuring it out there for the Aggies.
Offensive tackle out of Washington State that's graded really well. Also has probably the most experience of any offensive tackle in this class. Abraham Lucas, Washington State dudes, has a ton of true pass rushing or pass blocking snaps in that Washington State offense, and you're going to get the tape. You have a lot of tape on Lucas.
Yeah. So 3 years now. Sadly, only got to play 4 games this past year. The Pac-12.
Dude, the Pac-12 is just catching straight.
But only 4 pressures in 4 games. They obviously passed a ton there at Washington State. 1,718 pass blocking snaps in his career. Lucas is a big, powerful dude, though, 6'7", 330. And for him to have pass blocked that well over the course of his career already is a nice reps, tick in his favor.
Reps are also insane. Yeah. All right, next wide receiver off the board is Green Bay Packers grabbing one at the back end of the first round. You're wishful thinking. At the back end of the first round, Dominic Blaylock of Georgia. Didn't he? So he did tear his ACL.
Tore his ACL this past year.
Yeah.
Had a fairly solid, this guy's a big projection, though. 310 yards, 18 catches as a true freshman, playing mostly slot there for Georgia. Got some speed, some explosiveness. Excited to see what he does when he comes back. Because obviously George Pickens, the wide receiver one for Georgia, he tore his ACL. So Blaylock will be getting some targets there in Georgia's offense.
Next one is one of the guys that we hyped up a ton for the 2021 NFL draft, but he decided to come out. Wide receiver Chris Olave of Ohio State going to the Cleveland Browns at 26.
Yeah, not much more to talk about with Olave. Like that's where he would have gone likely had he come out this past year. So
what's wild is that a lot of the cornerbacks I've talked to, Sean Wade, some others too, that say he's the faster one between him and Wilson.
Yeah,
and Wilson, yeah, you can see that. I think Wilson though has I feel like his movement skills feel different. Olave is more of that pure smooth speed that you see on the football field. Is it safe to say that this wide receiver class is not going to compare to 2021?
I don't think it's as good. I don't. But now, obviously,
a lot can change.
All
right, 27, Zach Harrison, Ohio State, edge you maybe. Zach Harrison going to the Baltimore Ravens at 27.
Yeah, so we haven't seen a ton of them. 499 career snaps over 2 years, but came on in a big way this past year. 22 pressures, 86.6 pass rushing grade, 6'6", 255, a former top recruit. Like, this guy's not close to the Bosa's or Chase Young early on in their career, but still pretty damn good.
Mike Jones Jr., linebacker out of LSU, former Clemson guy, transfers to LSU, going to the Miami Dolphins at 28. He was awesome at Clemson. I'm excited to see him in LSU. Yeah,
I need to see him in a more traditional. So he played overhang, kind of like Clemson's got that weird ass defense.
Yeah,
that the linebackers don't like. They only have like one linebacker a lot of times, and Jones is almost like the safety
son.
Jones is like the safety linebacker hybrid that plays a lot more slot. But the fact that he, earns a 90.2 coverage grade there in that role, exceptional. I think he transferred to LSU to basically just be like, I want to play linebacker. Like, it's better for my fucking prospects for me to actually just be playing like a traditional linebacker. So I think that's why he transfers. But he's a very good athlete, 6 foot 220. Excited to see what he does.
That you brought up the London Fletcher stuff about trying to get people in the right position. Them starting like that true linebacker, like Ben Boulware, Skalski.
Yeah.
Then his Brent Venables' own son. Like, they're just like literally trying to get guys out there that may nowhere near compares to like an Isaiah Simmons, a Mike Jones Jr., some of the other athletes that they've had. But those guys probably get the playbook pretty decently. Brent Venables' son. Fun fact. All right, 29, Buffalo Bills. Safety Jordan Battle, Alabama.
Yeah, Battle's pretty sick. Another guy has been starting since his true freshman year, 2019. Past year, 81.5 coverage grade for Alabama. He's 6'1", 210, great size. Bama fucking factory continues.
Dude, the factory. What about Job? I like Job a little bit last year.
Job was interesting. I wouldn't put him in the first round conversation yet.
Okay. We'll see. All right. Yeah. Let's see. That's Josh Jobe, by the way. We just throw out last names like people know. Josh Jobe, cornerback at Alabama, had some really good numbers this past year. So you have safety Jordan Battle here of Alabama. At 30, Detroit Lions from the Los Angeles Rams. They grabbed Treylon Burks of Arkansas, wide receiver.
This guy's a horse. I'm a big fan of Treylon Burks.
His size profile is what the hell is that?
He is 6'3", 232 pounds. This past year had receiving grade of 88.9, 811 yards in 9 games for the Razorbacks. And that's with Felipe Franks throwing the football. Like, you just add a couple hundred for the adjustment, the quarterback adjustment there for any other QB. No, I mean, he is a size speed sort of demon. Like, this guy in a straight line is tough to handle. 9 broken tackles on those 50 catches. I'm excited to see, and that was a true sophomore. So I'm excited to see what he does here as a junior. He's one of my favorite kind of like, what could this guy be? What could that next step look like? Because I think he's already added like 20 pounds since he got to Arkansas.
He's probably adding another 20 this offseason. He's 6'3", 255. No, 31, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They grab interior offensive lineman Tyler Linderbaum, a guy that you have loved for a while, man. He is just, if he adds the weight, and he fits the bill, I mean, this is a guy that could go in the first round.
Yeah, so the redshirt sophomore last year, he was the second highest graded center in the country. He only allowed 3 pressures all season long for Iowa. He is athletic as hell. I mean, we talked about his wrestling background. We talked about when Tristan Wirfs, he beat Wirfs back as a wrestler in high school. You beat Tristan Wirfs in wrestling, I'll take you in the first round.
Dude, and especially at his size, they're not similar sized.
Yeah.
Wrestling weight matters. Like that is not easy.
Yeah, Linderbaum. So he came out as a redshirt freshman in 2019. He was starting at center. He looked like he weighed about 250 pounds. And he had a 81.7 overall grade. And it came back this last year, probably added about 20 pounds of muscle and was fucking awesome this past year. So I was a little surprised he didn't come out because I thought he could have been possible first rounder. But if he adds even more, like, this dude's first rounder.
Last one here. Kansas City Chiefs take edge defender out of Florida, Brenton Cox Jr. You brought up, I think, another player's spin move earlier, but Brenton Cox, man, that guy has thrown some spins his tape. His spins are dirty. I think I have a handful of clips. I'm like, who is this guy? He just kept turning it on.
Yeah, so he got, I think, kicked out of Georgia back after started at Georgia, got kicked out, back in 2018. This was redshirt sophomore then. This past year, 48 pressures for Florida. Breakout season, like you said, 6 spin move, but just kind of needs another year away from those off-field issues.
Yeah. We'll get there. We'll get there, Brenton. We'll get there. That's going to do it for the 2022 NFL mock draft. I'm so interested to see, how many of these guys ultimately end up in the first round. But still, I think what it does really is set the tone for what these classes could be. The cornerback class is going to be very interesting. Spencer Rattler's the name to watch at QB. Wide receiver, I'm a big fan of both Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave at Ohio State. The edge class, Kayvon Thibodeau, Adam Anderson's going to. You're making your call now.
Adam Anderson.
And if you're looking for center tape, Tyler Linderbaum is your freaking guy. All right. Until next time, fellas. Austin Gayle, Mike Renner, David Safaro, Mike Quinn, 2-for-1 drafts.